Oh, and by the way, in case you're wondering, I mean, again, I said this earlier, but this is just a preliminary schematic. I did enough work on this to where I'll have a good idea of what I'm trying to do, but it's not complete yet. Like all these blue boxes indicate that these would probably end up being on separate circuit boards, separate little modules, and I'm still not sure what I would do with most of this jazz in here, but I just wanted to kind of you know look at this from a bird's eye view. And so if I ever wanted to refine this stuff and catch all the little errors I have in it and everything like that, in the process of making these modules, you would find that. So it's just something I wanted to point out. And by the way, this is the software I've used actually, for 20 years. And it's called Circuit Maker 2000, but they don't make it anymore. It was made by Protel. So say Protel International, which is now Altium. But the fact of the matter is, this was their low-end product line, but it's worked really well because it's really fairly intuitive. Now, it has some things that suck, like old-fashioned zoom. You can't just use the mouse scroll wheel or anything with it, because that's how old of a program it is. But it does have layers that work sensibly, unlike KiCad, where you can't select things unless you're actually on that proper layer. So that's how most CAD programs do it. The KiCad didn't get that memo. But you got to use like shift, for your magnification to zoom out, that kind of thing. So it's an old program, but it does work very intuitively. It does have some bugs in it and shit, but that's one of the reasons I've been generally happy with this. But still, I do like KiCad more because it's got more modern features. But there's some things that are really stupid that they did, which makes me think they've never used a real circuit board program before. Anyway, but yeah, so I mean, in fact, interesting case in point, I was, remember I had that double-sided copper clad loaded on my machine before. Well, I ran out of double-sided designs that I had done, and remember I was wanting to clear off the machine so I can go to my new setup, which I just showed you earlier. But I came across this video looking for some of my old circuits that I plan on maybe tinkering with here. I was looking for some double-sided designs that I could maybe throw into the mix and use up some of that double-sided material with. But I came across this, which is these two boards are actually part of my old timer circuit. So before I decided to go to the simpler Arduino one that I was intending on doing, but I saw this, I was like, I wonder how much it would take to do one of these just out of curiosity. I got all this extra double-sided board I'm not sure what to do with, because most of the projects I have on my list don't really look like they're going to need double-sided boards. So because of that, you can do an awful lot with a single-sided board if you're halfway good at what you do. So but I was like, looking for something. I was like, this was part of my old timer idea, and I knew it would be faster. I was just out of curiosity, I thought I'd screw with one to see what it would end up with if I took it and tried it in KiCad, because again I'm was still in the process of learning KiCad pretty much. So I thought this would be an interesting challenge and would allow me to do some tests on a larger double-sided board than the small one I started with. So but the fact of the matter is that yeah, that's why I did it, because it was half-assed, and I didn't even, honestly, I was secretly hoping this thing just wouldn't work. But once I had it done, I was perfectly willing to walk away from it, but it kept working just good enough to keep me going on it. And since I have OCD, it really drug me into it, even though I didn't really want to do this damn thing this way. I'd be perfectly happy with it my old simpler way, but again, I can't just let it alone once my mind gets locked onto something. So, and so that's why I kept having to repair that thing and crap like that. But anyway, so that's how that whole thing got started, by the way. And these are some other circuits. This is actually pretty interesting. This is a digital potentiometer. So, but it actually uses like half-watt resistors and a series of relays and a motor driver to control it. So, but this can handle like I think a watt or something like that. Versus those digital potentiometers can only do like a fraction of a like a 1 milliwatt or something like that, or they start to fry. But I mean, this can handle much bigger power loads, and so I thought that would be maybe interesting, and I may indeed do that. I've got all the parts for it and stuff. I don't have schematics for any of these, by the way, because traditionally I would actually do circuit designs by starting with the circuit board. I mean, at most I'd have like a block diagram, of what I generally wanted to do, but I'd actually design the circuit as I go on a circuit board. And I've actually done some lot more elaborate designs than this. These I made specifically for CNC because I wanted to, I didn't want to take too many chances on what kind of resolution I thought the thing could do. Because originally it's going to do this on my K2. My K2, I don't have that little, that little touch leveling thing, that you get with these, this 3018 Pro. So I really, could probably do finer resolution than this, but it would be really dodgy. So, but I've designed all these for the K2 because this is before I bought that 3018. But at any rate, yeah, I had some circuits in here that just do various things, and I don't even know if some of these things will work for sure. I mean, I've back-checked them for the most part, though. But this right here was an ICL 7107, so it's like a voltage meter, and they actually used to use this chip in cheap voltmeters not long ago. I happen to have 3 of these things, and they're not cheap. I think they're like $20 chips or something these days. I forget. And this was like a little keyboard debouncer, which I've got a different design of, which I guess I forgot to cover that. Let me go back to that schematic. See, this down here is actually an updated version of this. Because this is actually a PIC 16F1824. So this allows me to actually strobe 4 by 8, in other words, like 32 buttons. So, but it's dedicated to it, so it'll do all the debouncing routines and stuff like that, and it'll send an interrupt signal off to the Arduino if it receives a key press event. So it goes to the second interrupt line, interrupt 1 or whatnot on the Arduino, or interrupt 0, I forget which one I use. Point is that it would generate that, and then the Arduino could either come and either through have the option of using I2C on it, or SPI, because I left enough pins to where you could use SPI to do it as another option. So I would use RxTX, but I was thinking I wouldn't have that option. So I didn't think I'd have the pins available when I designed this to do that. But I knew, I already implemented an I2C bus just because of the displays. Like this is I2C and these are I2C. So I knew I already had those lines dedicated, so it's no big deal to run it to here too. Or SPI, as an alternative option. But yeah, this is like a modern version of it, but yeah, I'm just running this out to headers. So instead of having buttons on the circuit board, I've actually got a lot of old keyboards and stuff running around that are the matrix type keyboards. So little 10 keys or whatever that I can actually use with this thing. So so I can actually put a data pad on it, so I can enter numbers into my little timer project. And again, this I will probably do even with my simplified version of this. So at any rate, yeah, that's enough. I'm sure you're bored with this. So anyway, I just wanted to add that little information there. But yeah, this is not the final design. So if you haters out there, just keep on hating.